So an understanding of death, not in an abstract, but in a particular, so in my death, that is, becomes constitutive of who one is and what one thinks one is doing in this life. And to give you an example of that, my earlier research was in a Buddhist monastery in northern Thailand, where I ordained as a nun for a long time and meditated a lot. And I was given a photographic atlas of the body, and I was asked to meditate on it. So the idea here is that one sits with the images of dissected corpses and then imaginatively extends one's understanding of the photos into one's understanding of one's own person. Now, at first it was really frightening, and then exhilarating, and then quite transformative. But initially I had to leave the book outside at night. Now, these images bring death home. They are immediate and they are demanding. After I'd been with the book for a while, I was invited to chant at wakes, and then we went into hospitals to meditate with people as they died. And the ways in which I saw myself and others changed through this practice. When I was talking to people, I'd be aware of the sinews of the neck or the plates of the skull that meshed together underneath the zhuzh of so much unnecessary hair. In my own sitting, I was aware of my skeletal structure or the muscles or sinews and so on that make up the body, but not just the body, my body, as in me. And these graphic images of death are used by Buddhist meditators to develop insight into the tenets of impermanence, suffering, and non-self that are at the heart of Theravada Buddhism. So there's no cheating death here. The meditator learns to stare down the vertiginous fact of her own mortality, unflinchingly and intentionally. And it's in so doing that religious principles move from propositional beliefs into experiential reality. And this is a distinction that, between place and ground. So rather than death being a problem that needs to be solved, which of course it is in, the utopian promise of regenerative medicine or Disney freezing his head, which does make him Disney on Ice, which is fabulous. The acceptance of the futility of trying to cheat death might be a very sensible reason for a re-engaged or a renewed engagement with life on its own terms and for its own sake. So if none of us are getting off alive, how are we going to spend the ride? And I think this trope is very readily available in English and American accounts of people experiencing their own mortality and then experiencing an enhanced appreciation of life. So, for example, Steve Jobs, in his Stanford address in 2005, spoke to his fresh-faced and ambition-rich graduates and told them that he'd received a diagnosis of pancreatic cancer. He sermonized that remembering that you're going to die is the best way I know to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose. You are already naked. There is no reason not to follow your heart. So for me, what's important here is that living more fully in the face of death appears as a direct experience that's felt and seen. It's not a rationalization or a second-order interpretation. It becomes constitutive of who one is. Now, of course, living in the present is something that can be cultivated by most people without the need of the diagnosis or the near miss. And it's learning to be more present that's the focus of the current medical, media, and political attention on mindfulness. The present moment is having its moment at the moment. So the mindfulness practices, in mindfulness practice, habits of mind are transformed through a heightened awareness of the qualities of daily life. Paying attention in a particular way on purpose enables practitioners to let go of negative thought patterns and transforms the banal activity of the everyday into a vivid appreciation of the ordinary in all of its extraordinariness. Now here, the practitioner isn't trying to realize non-self. It's almost the opposite. If anything, she's trying to become who she really is. But I think this serves to illustrate, again, that who we are and what we think human flourishing is will always be figured in relation to broader social and cosmological context. So when we ask about the ontological meaning of death, the response will always be tied up with the meaning of life. And while the answers to such questions are not preordained, they are always of anthropological interest.
It was the Prince Gautama was asked, what is the strangest thing about the world? And he said that anybody may die at any moment, but everybody behaves as if they'll live forever. And then there was a good headline in The Onion, the American satirical newspaper, that said, world death rate holds steady at 100%.